when I lost my second son, because I lost two sons due to gang violence, the second son, you know, shocked me to say that, how could I lose two sons? So I said, I'm not going to let this happen. I'm not going to let violence get a hold, because I had two more sons, you know, and I was going to, fight for them. So I said, I got, um, I got in my heart somebody to help me to 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 bring the peace in our neighborhood, which was we were having a horrible gang war. So um, there's a church right there where I live named Soledad, uh, Soledad Church, and I went and talked to the priests and the brothers and told them that I wanted somebody in the neighborhood to help me, another mother like me, going through the same hell that we were going through, the killings and all that, and I wanted to see if another mother had the same problem. And it turned out that in church they announced on Sunday they announced that there's a woman looking for someone to bring peace in the neighborhood and hoping for another mother to join her. So I got a call from the church that there was a woman there named Chris Ramirez. She's one of my parents, and she also was very fearful for her son because he was, I think, a 17-year-old boy, and she didn't want nothing to happen to him, just like I didn't want my other two sons to get killed either, because I had two more left. So what happened is that the the, the church got me together. I had a meeting with this Chris Ramirez. I met her outside the church. We sat outside in a bench, and we talked about how could we go about bringing peace in the barrio. So we asked the church if they could let us have the hall and call the people in church on Sunday if they wanted to come to a meeting and join us for the peace movement that I wanted so bad. So what happened is that from that we had a beautiful turnout. A lot of people came to the turnout to the meeting, and from that little group of all the community that came, we got a 40 people to join us in the movement of peace. We call it the peace movement because that's what we wanted. We wanted peace. I wanted it, and I asked for it, and the other mothers wanted it too. We all wanted the same thing, but at the same time, we had the backup of the church because that's where I had my meetings at the church. It's a place where everything's peaceful. So from there on, the group of mothers that turned to be the concerned parents, there was 40 of us at one time in 1970. Later on, it came down to 19 of us that were left, but we were very strong. And from there on, we got some mothers to help us to go in the neighborhood and talk to the boys that were, they used to sit up, and the gang boys would sit on the sidewalk and they were there, just waiting for trouble. So I got me a young my friend Maria Montenegro to join me because she thought the same way. she hadn't lost any sons, but she wanted to help my cause. So we went. Her and I went to the different neighborhoods right here in East LA where I live, and we went up. They call it City Terrace. We were up there talking to the boys, and our our advice was we never we never told them we never told them you're doing wrong. The way we went about it is telling them we my friend would talk their language, and she would tell them, homeboys, we're here because we're here to make sure that hoping that you and the other barrios have a peace treaty, because and then my friend would tell the boys that I had lost two sons and that I didn't want no more of this tragedy to happen to them, because their mother would suffer just like I did because I lost two sons. That's the story we told them, and then we would tell them that we were beginning to have SEA already, and we would tell them about SEA to go and enroll in SEA so they could get an education. We always did tell them that we get yourself an education, and maybe we won't be thinking about so much gang violence. So it was a lot of communication with the boys, and my friend and I. We had a lot of communication with the boys, and then that was City Terrace was one barrio, and then there was another one down the hill that I called another barrio, and they were fighting with each other, killing each other. It was horrible. A lot of boys got killed, but we we were never afraid to walk the streets, because the mothers were never afraid to walk the streets, because what we talked about was peace. We didn't bring the boys down. We just told them, have a peace treaty, have peace in the barrio, so the mothers could rest, because we were all going through some hell, losing our children.
What was peace for you? I mean, you're saying we want
Peace
peace.
was the peace that the boys would have like a little peace treaty. They could get together and have a peace treaty. They could do it. They did it several times, but somebody in the gang would always mess it up, and then they would start fighting for no reason, their reasons of their own, and that was heartbreaking when they would get killed. You know, we got to see a lot of deaths. I went to a lot of funerals, and we, the part of it is that the mothers that lost their sons, uh, we got in touch with each. Every time we heard about some of the boys getting killed, we'd run. My friend and I, Maria, we go over there to that barrio and look up the mother that had lost her son, and hug her and give her comfort. We were the mothers that used to give other mothers comfort when they lost their sons. It was very heartbreaking. And still we would tell the boys, you know, we would tell them to go to SEA and get an education. Already SEA was progressing. It was right there on Federally. That was the first one. And like I told you, the church backed us up a lot. We had a lot of support. And I was real happy because with the backup of the church, we progressed. In the neighborhood, we did a lot of walking for peace. And then we had meetings with the sheriffs, and they had confidence in us. They knew we were doing good. We were doing good for the boys, trying to bring the peace in the neighborhood. It was really ugly. The violence was ugly.
Rita, how about, would you tell us about your sons and
My son Robert, he was killed, and he he left at night, and I didn't know where he had gone. and the sheriffs came and told me they shot your son, and there I go to the hospital, you know, to, he was, you know, he got shot in the spine. So they took him to the hospital. He lasted 38 days, and I was there every day at the hospital. Every day, I wouldn't leave him. I wanted him to, you know, to make it. But he's 38 days of, you know, in a coma. And then in 1973, I lost my other son, Ronnie, and I couldn't believe it because how could I lose two sons? How could it happen? When I've been fighting so hard for peace, but it happened because they were involved in the gang, and I never wanted them to be. I did everything possible for them to get out of it, but once they were very hard to get them out. I tried, and then that's why when my second son died, I did everything possible to make sure that hoping that the peace movement would work. And according to the sheriffs, I forgot the year, the sheriff said that the gang problem had gone down due to the mothers walking the streets. And I wasn't the only walking the streets and talking to the boys. We had the other mothers doing it too. We had a little group of, an organization of mothers. And we had 19 at that time. They have passed away, but they did wonders. They helped me a lot with my movement. And then I became something bigger and bigger, and education was in there for us. We were very proud because we could hear that some of the boys in the gang were joining. That was another thing we used to tell them: go to SEA, get an education, and that was made me so proud, and I'm still proud because you know it has progressed so beautiful.
You talk about peace, and you know, I'm just really feeling it in my heart. A lot of sorrow towards the loss of your children, but really inspired by the fact that you carried on. What kept you going while?
What
sure,
kept?
you wanted instant results, right? You wanted to stop the killing, but it was still happening.
Oh no!
What kept you going to know that we're making progress? We need to keep going.
No, but when the mothers got together, the boys from the different gangs, they got to know us. So what was so beautiful about the group of mothers that I had, that we got together, you know, that joined me. They were mothers from, let's say, another friend of mine was going to come today, but she couldn't make it, and her son was from another barrio, another gang, and the boys where she lived, they didn't like the boys where I lived. So when we started going to the meetings, the mothers, where we used to go to meetings at Soledad and talk about peace and all that, how we were going to do it, and walk the streets for peace. Chris was the opposite. The gang where she lived was the opposite from mine, and the boys where I lived, they didn't want me to get together with the other mothers because they were from different gangs. You know, the mothers of boys from different gangs. But that's what we did. We didn't care. We went ahead and did it. We made an organization, the Concerned Parents of East LA, and we made an organization, and we kept it up. We weren't fearful of what they thought. We did it because we thought that would bring beautiful peace. Mothers from the boys from different gangs to be together with me, and we had a lot of trust in each other. I trusted all of them, and they trusted me, and we got along good. And right now, I could tell you that the few that are left, I love them like if they were my sisters. And we're still going, you know, we're still there backing SEA and hoping that the education the progress is getting, for me, it's beautiful to hear that they're doing good. The, the kids are getting an education.
Do you see peace being any difference from when your kids were alive and the challenges that they had to face because of the gangs? Now, in this time, how we have say expanded into different communities, how can that peace be extended within the different communities that say is located
When they, when they were in a gang and how they are now,
Yeah, has peace, the concept of peace, changed over the decades, or is it all still the same concept? Just Saya has grown and expanded throughout Southern California or LA County.
well, I mean, I pray that I'm not an expert, but uh, the, is, when my sons were in the gang, the gang was more. I I hear that the attitude of the boys is different than when my boys were in a gang. The boys from the barrio, from different gangs, it was so amazing because they had a lot of respect for us. They didn't tell us off. They didn't say, we were grandmas too, walking the streets, you know. They had a lot of respect for us. They call us jefitas. That's a endearment word for us, you know. Jefitas, go home because it's getting late. You know what time we'd be out there talking to them? At 10 o'clock at night, and sometimes 9, 8, and then we come home. It was always talking to them about peace. Never nothing that would cause them anger. You know, they don't want to hear about. They want, but talking about peace, there's nothing bad. So we were never afraid of what we were doing. We'd be walking the streets at night. I'd be walking with my friend sometimes at 8 o'clock, and when it's real dark, and you could hear the boys when they passed by in a car. And the beautiful part of it, different gangs would yell out our names. They knew us. They call us Maria and Rita, and hi jefitas. You know, that's a beautiful word for us. So they got to sort of love us like grandmas, you know, and we loved that because we cared for them. We really wanted them to be out of the gang situation, and really wanted the peace in the neighborhood real bad. I mean, I really wanted it, and I think at this moment I could tell you that I could come out of my home at night and walk to the block down the street and not be afraid. It's already 11 o'clock at night and go back home. I'm not afraid because even if the boys from the gang should pass by, they all know us and they respect us. And nowadays, the situation might be a little rougher because the respect is a little different. But the mothers talking to the boys in a way that they like to be talked to, maybe could bring back the respect that they had when I was in the peace movement.
Thank you. So, for example, now, do you think that the mothers have gave up on their kids, and is that why the youth don't respect them as much when they tell them, they try to talk to them about peace or about changing their ways or whatever it is that they need in order to change?
The mothers nowadays that are losing their sons.
Yes. How do you think that they're approaching the situation differently than how you did it? That made
I
a
think
difference?
it'd be beautiful if, you know, that we could get some young women that know about gang situations, and what the mothers like when they used to, you know, a boy would get killed in a gang warfare. You know what would happen? They would call the church. The mothers would call the church and Maria and I would go running up there, and they love that. They love to be hugged and comforted because I lost sons and I know how it feels to lose. And I would hug them and it was beautiful to comfort the mothers, you know. And I hoping for the same thing to happen right now in all the barrios, not only where I live, but in all the barrios in South Central, everywhere. I would love to see that the mothers get involved in the situation that we mothers did, because there was mothers helping me. Not I wasn't the only one.
What advice would you give to somebody
The,
who's in a community where challenges are happening, whether it's gangs or drugs or whatever else? What would you say to them to inspire them to know that peace is a reality for them?
the mothers are very important because I mean, especially if you could get the respect of the boys when you're talking. You know, a lot of boys don't like you to talk about peace, but the way we would talk to them, my friend Maria, she would talk to them in their language and call them homeboys. She would call them homeboys, and then she would tell them whenever we go to a barrio that was new. We used to pick on a lot of barrios. We even went to as far as 18th Street. That was another barrio, and we got their respect and their confidence. That we used to talk about peace, and a lot of times it pays to know the boys because one time we had trouble where I lived. One of the mothers says, "I'm having trouble with this gang coming to pick on my son. They've been coming and trying to shoot at the house." She told me about her son getting harassed by this gang. So what Maria and I did, we went to the gang that was doing the harassing, and we talked to the main guy, the head guy. You know, there was always a head guy, and we told him that, you know, what was happening, and that one of our mothers was having trouble with her son, and this young man, I don't know what he did, but he must have talked to his boys because they never came to bother the boy again, never. So you could get a lot of them. You could get a lot of attention from the gang boys if the mother image is there, because you know that's the way it started, with the mother image. Not to be afraid to do it, and with a lot of love. We always showed them a lot of love, and that's very important.
Yeah, what do you think about just the fact that you formed an organization in LA that
Oh.
now has people traveling to other countries and spreading peace
Yes.
and learning about other communities and sharing similarities of the struggle and of overcoming those struggles?
How do I feel that about say progressing?
Yeah, to be now reaching globally.
That the ones that are graduating, let's say, hoping that among them there's one that will be another young leader for make keeping up, hoping that they keep on this tradition of bringing more youth from the barrios to get an education, because like you said, going up there, the boys weren't doing anything. They were just getting into trouble. But afterwards, like I said, we could tell that the peace movement was working a little bit, because like I said, the sheriff told us that at one time, well, the mothers were walking the streets like we used to do. The movement, the gang, whatever they call it, killing went down, and they were aware that that the mothers were part of it, and then they knew about the education of the boys, so they had a lot of respect for us. We had a lot of respect from the community backing us up. That helped a lot, and hoping that other countries where they're having a lot of trouble with education, that the mothers, I think the mothers is the key. They could do a lot of things, and with a lot of love. You go out there and you talk to the boys with a lot of love. You don't bring them down. You talk, have peace with the other boys, because we don't want to lose any more boys. We don't want to lose no more. And the mothers suffer so much when their young boys get killed. But I'm very happy to say that I, I'm I go to the graduation, and I feel so proud when I see the boys and the girls, come up to shake your hand. I feel real proud.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Rita. Thank you.